Hey YouTubers, welcome back to another episode of Lemire Legends, home of 10,000 Lakes Taxidermy. In this one, we're going to show you how to paint a yellow perch. If you want to see how we got a fish this stage right here, please look back and see our episodes 1 through 5 on skinning and mounting a bluegill. There seemed to be a lot of interest in that, so we're just going to show you on this one how to use acrylic paints, no airbrushing, all hand painting, just using a few simple tools here. We're gonna show you how to paint this yellow perch. And you're gonna go, well, it's already half painted, but you know what? This is live, uncut, unedited, and we're gonna show you some steps and how we'll catch you up to speed and how we did it so far. So the first thing we're gonna show you here is I just used a number 2 pencil and I accented all the natural stripes that are in this fish when it dried. Okay, that was step number 1. Another one is I just used a chocolate brown paint around the eyes to serve as my primer over my plastic that I had, and the same thing back here over my plastic, and that is Magic Smooth. And again, please go back and check out our bluegill videos, and we'll show you how to do all of that in episodes 1 through 5. So, but anyways, the other thing we did is we put a sub base of some yellows and some greens in here, and I went over the top of that with 100% silicone, and that gives your fins nice flexibility. And that silicone takes approximately 12 to 24 hours to dry before you can put acrylic paint over the top. That way you have no problems. We are not affiliated with any of these companies of any of these paints. As long as they are acrylic, it doesn't matter. We're not endorsing any of these companies. We can see we've got a wide variety of paint here, and as long as they're acrylic, they will work. Don't use temper or tempera paints or finger paints. Those will not adhere to this silicone. So the other thing we have here is we use 1 bottle of an Arctic Orange Life Tone lacquer paint, and that gives us our deep orange colors here. And when you put your silicone over the top of that, it really gives your fins some depth. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Please use your reference pictures. This yellow gold that we put in here, we put a light coat of that in there. This coloration, this toning here could be a green, a gold, a bright yellow. It just depends on the fish that you have to do for your client or customer. And the reason I did it like this, now I know this color sells, and this fish will be available on eBay real soon. So this is my own fish, and like I said, the color will sell this fish for me with no problems. So, but we're just going to help you out on this mission. Yes, over silicone. If it's cured, you can put acrylic paint. I've never had a problem with that. And then over the top of that, once this it dries, you can go back and we can put our right here. This is our clear coat, and we're all done. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this is the clear coat we're gonna use. I like to use Rust-Oleum high gloss finish. Any of it will work. A couple of coats and you're off to the races. But we'll show you that at the very end here. But for now, to catch you up again, just to review, I went in and I just kind of scribbled some lines in here, basically where the markings of this fish were when it dried. You could see some lines in there, and I just enhanced and accented them with this. So what I'm going to do now, we have primer on here. I put a little bit of white over the top of that. I'd rebuild some scales and do some work there. And also underneath here on the throat latch, I rebuilt that. So I just put a little base white on there just as a primer. And that's one thing with these acrylic paints. They do take a little bit to dry. I mean, if you want to speed things along, you can use a hair dryer. That'll help you out a little bit. But like I said, this is live, uncut, unedited. I'm just going to show you how easy this is. I'm real happy with the way this is coming out so far. What I want to do now is I'm just going to use a disposable brush here. Doesn't have to be anything fancy. I'm going to come in here with a little bit of apple green. Get my paper towel up underneath me here, so wipe off my excess paint. And you can see where I put a little bit right in there. I'm going to do that right up in the base of these fins right here. Just to give it a little more color. I'm going to blend that orange that was underneath there in with the green, just like that. Add a little bit of water. We can make the spread a little bit thinner. And that's going to take a little bit of time to dry. You can see how watery it is right now. That's going to take a couple minutes to dry. By the time we're done with our whites, that is going to be completely dried out. And we'll be ready for the next step. Just kind of trying to match that to the front side. With acrylic paints, that's the one nice thing about it is I use my finger almost as much as I do a brush just to get things to blend. Let's try this one. Bigger swipe, just like that. All right, I'm kind of happy with that. Just use this, absorb some of that water off of there. Clean this out real quick. And I just use, bare essentials for paintbrushes. You really don't need much. We're not going to do a lot of detailing. This acrylic paint, we're just going to start blending things. And when we get to our color palette here, I'll give you a little kind of a review of the color paints I'm using. So, but right now, we're going to get back on this this whiter brush. And we're just going to use a base white first. And then we're going to go over the top of that with this titanium white. So the base white is going to go inside the mouth. We just sealed that up with some, it's called the Magic Sculpt compound. We just sealed the mouth up. We took the gills out of this fish and basically pulled the tongue and all that just for drying time, just for speed. So as I always say, we're going to turn and burn this fish. We're gonna get this done and we're going to sell it. So it speeds up the drying time when you take the gills out of your fish. And I've just found that you don't get any more money for leaving the gills in there and having to monkey around putting spacers and cardboard in there and all that kind of stuff. Just this is commercial taxidermy. It's not a competition mount. We're just going to go in here. We're just going to start blending some of this white. And you can see that dried naturally. There was a little bit of like a pink orange hue in there. So we're going to leave that. We're not going to cover that up. That's going to help this fish look really nice, just like that. Now with acrylic paints, you do not have to apply a huge glob at one time. First of all, it'll take longer to dry, and it's going to make your fish look way painted, not natural when you do that. So I'm paint the back side of this a little bit. Just light coat, and we're going to start down here. We're just going to try not to cut that white in on our fins here. Just keep it down. If we got to go back in here, we got to put more white down the road, that's fine. That's exactly what I did not want to do right there. That's one nice thing about the silicone. We'll take this right off there without an issue, I think. Okay, you're going to make me laugh now. Make me look like a fool here. We got it. We got this. All right. Clean our brush off and get rid of that white. It's one thing to sit and do it and concentrate, and then you got to explain what you're doing. It's a totally different ball game. So anyways, we're gonna go right through here, underneath here, and we're gonna cut all this in. Let's try and get around these fins again without looking like a clown. Believe it or not, I have mounted and painted thousands of fish, but of course when it's on camera, live and uncut, this is the bloopers of the whole thing, but that's half the fun. So anyhow, we're just going to cut this white in underneath here, just like that. And just a little bit here. You don't want to go bright white, just want to cut in natural and not real high. We're just going to put a little bit underneath on the belly. We're not going to bring this paint way up into here. We're going to keep it low, just like that. There we go. Things are starting to come together now. Being a baseball fan, I can just, I'm thinking to myself when I put that white on that pec fin right there at the orange, that we're just a little bit outside. But we got it. Thanks for hanging with us on this one, and hope this brings you some value. And I really appreciate if you like and subscribe to our channel. We intend on our fish videos seem to do quite well, and like I said, the land of 10,000 lakes here, we have mounted a lot of fish. We have 30 plus years experience, and you like and subscribe. We want to bring more content that is of value to people. And we're just going to pass this tradition of skin mounting along. Everybody wants to do the plastic, the replicas, the graphite reproductions. And I don't know, we just want to pass this part of it along. That's kind of a dying trend, even in Minnesota here. People, a lot of catch and release. And, we have to preserve the fishing heritage. You don't want to pull all the trophies out of the lake, but a few perch like this does not really hurt the population, I don't believe so. But again, I appreciate if you like and subscribe to our channel, and check up on those bluegill videos 1 through 5, and it'll show you exactly how we got pretty much the same process, how we did this perch, those bluegills, to get to this process. So anyways, that's where we're at right here. Okay, that brings our whites in. That's going to just take a minute or so to dry. Clean this brush off. Just basically a little bit of water. Cleaning my brush up. Let's clean this one up again. Now you can see that green in here. That started to dry really nice. That's perfect. So I'm just going to put, like I said, every fish is different. I've looked at literally thousands of perch pictures, reference pictures, and everything seems to be different. So this is just kind of half the fun of doing a fish. They're all different, and as long as you don't apply too much paint, you're in good shape. You can, like anything in the art world, it's it's whatever you interpret. So I really like that. I like to give it a little bit of, just not a bunch of straight green lines. I like to blend a little bit. Blend that green right into that yellow and that orange that was in here. I think that works out really nice. A little bit of green here. I really like that. This is an Arctic orange. This lacquer paint right here that we use is an Arctic orange, and that really gives it that vibrant color. Now you can go back over this. You'll see I got a red lane over there, but you can go back over this if you want. If you want different coloration, you want to go from that orange into a deeper orange, you can just apply, once that lacquer paint kicks off and it dries, really, really fast compared to acrylic, you can go over the top like I did here and put a little bit of red in there. It's just, like I said, I can't stress enough reference pictures, whatever you feel you need to do. But for right now, that's curing out really nice. Looks like we're pretty dry here. Our paint is dried up. Like I said, on the back here, I just primed all these with the chocolate color on all the plastic. And then I just cleaned my brush off and I put this gold yellow in here. I just mixed basically a gold, and this is a lemon yellow. I kind of mixed that together to give this base color. You can see in there's some gold and a little bit of yellow. And this fish dried, the tint of this fish really in the skin, the pigment, it dried really dark color. So I'm gonna go over the top of this again. We're gonna put a little bit more yellow over the top of that. I'll do that right now. Just gonna add a little bit of water to this. I don't wanna go loud. You don't wanna put a heavy coat, just a little bit of yellow. Now you can already see the difference between that one, this one, and this one. See that yellow, that almost like a canary lemon yellow that's in there. I'm just gonna let that dry just like that. And I don't want to just swipe it because you're gonna lose a lot of your gold undertones. So I'm just gonna basically almost a stipple technique on this, just to get some brighter yellow in this fish. Like I said, I like to use my finger a lot of time. If you got too much water in your brush or your color is coming out too heavy, you can just wipe it down with your finger. I'm starting to get too much water in this brush, so I'm gonna take some of that off and get a little more yellow right up in here. Just blend that, perfect. And a little bit in the cheek. Same thing on the back side. We're just gonna touch that up. You can really see we got a lot of gold back here on this back side. And do the same thing. I think we're just gonna put a little bit of yellow in here. Now I'm not worried about putting the bars and the markings in on this back. No one's ever going to see this side of the fish anyway. After we put our hanger right up in this area right here, you're not going to see this, so it's not critical. I mean, I do put the second eye, and I do like to paint the back of the head of my fish, but for commercial work, I don't think anybody's going to complain as long as they get that second eye in their fish and you put a little coloration back here. That's going to be fine. It's going to take a minute to dry back there too. You can see, and I touch it with my fingers. It's, it's starting to cure already. So as long as it's not a big heavy coat. Let's finish up these little yellow marks back here. We're going to take that from a green tone into more of a yellow. I think I'll be a lot happier with that. Let that dry. Now you can see I got some of those yellow blotches in there. I want to blend those out. Just take my brush and just gently just work those right out of there and put a swipe over it, and we're in business. A little bit extra paint. I think I'm going to start down here. Just going to put a little yellow down there. So every fish is different. Whatever tickles your fancy, as a great artist once said, when he painted happy little trees and shrubs and bushes. So there we go. I basically did the same thing up here. I put a little bit of green undertone in there. I came with a little bit of orange, just basically the leftovers that was on my brush. I just put real light in there and I blended it. And I put maybe a little bit of yellow over the top of it. And I'm happy with that. Just tickled with it. Worked out perfect. And then if you need to, like I said, a little bit of chocolate that was in here. You can blot a little bit of chocolate in there if you want. The sky's the limit. Whatever you want to do. But this just gives you the basics of how I like to do a perch quick and easy. I'm going to clean my brush off, get rid of that yellow. Again, just water, acrylic paints. Clean my brush, get rid of all that moisture off of there. And we're going to come in here with this titanium white now.
Iridescent white.
Titanium iridescent. And we're going to go over the top of this, and that's going to give this white a good reflection, especially when you clear coat it. That iridescent's really going to pop. You can already see that. See the difference between this dull down white under here and that iridescent. And these acrylic paints are available at basically any hobby supply company. I mean, up in the northern part of the Midwest up here, we have a Joanne Fabrics or two. We have Michaels. We have Hobby Lobby. These paints are basically available at all those places. That orange lacquer that I'm using, that's from a TAXIDERMY supply company, and you can find that. Again, this orange lacquer is Arctic orange, and I've never found a brighter orange that I really like that in my perch on these fins right here. I've tried different orange lacquer paints or acrylic paints, and I just like that Arctic. And just to prove mediums, you can with your mediums you can blend. I mean, as long as it's dried on a smaller fish, you can use lacquer and acrylic. They do work together. As long as they're cured out, you're not applying wet to wet, then you're going to have a problem. But if you let it cure in between coats, silicone, you can paint over it with acrylic as long as it's dry. Like I said, I recommend the silicone in these fish, letting these fins dry 12, 24 hours before you go back in with your paint. And that was the reason that I had, like I'd said before, that I put the orange in. Gives it some nice depth underneath there. Add a little bit of green and all that. And like I said, live, uncut, unedited. I just want to give you the basis of how we do things. So that's basically what we got. You can see the difference right there in the white. We really got a nice pearl, basically a pearl white going underneath there. That's going to take a little bit of time to cure. Now I'm going to take a little bit of orange right here. I want to blend this jaw into this lower part down here. I want to kind of hide that. You can see where it turned gray, my putty right there. even with 2 coats of white, actually 3 coats of white now. I just want to blend that out. Gotta get a little bit more water in this orange. There we go. I'm just gonna put a little bit more orange right here, just like this. We're gonna bring that right underneath this jaw. Get rid of the extra water. And that's gonna help blend that in really nice when this dries. Gonna have some nice orange in there. It's gonna match up right with the gill cover and everything else. That's gonna work out just perfect, just like that. Maybe put a little bit orange right here. Get rid of some of that. Just wasn't happy. It was just kind of a bland looking color. There might have been a split in the fin right there or something. I want to give that a little bit of color without making it look, drawing any extra attention to it. Just give it a little color, let it dry. Might take a couple minutes, couple of coats. It's just half the fun of painting a fish. I'm gonna leave it just like that. Okay, and then a little bit of orange in the cheek, just like that. Same thing on the back side here. That's gonna knock down some of that gold. If we overdid it with the gold, we can put orange in there, just like that. And what I'm gonna do is, before I clean my brush off here, I'm just gonna go in here, just with some orange. Just like that. A little bit down here. Just a little bit, not that much, Mike. Pull it together, man. There we go. And again, you can take your finger, if you have excess, just wipe it off. Add a little water, wipe it off till you're happy with whatever you got. Okay, I'm just gonna set that down here, and that's gonna cure out. I'll clean this brush up a little bit. Now I got a purple powder right here. It's just a violet. Same thing, I believe I got this probably at Hobby Lobby. And it's just a pigment, it's a powder. What I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna put a little out of my finger, just like that. And I'm gonna hit this right here. That's gonna give you a nice violet color. All right, then you go, well, that might be a little bit overkill. Okay, well, then you just take a little bit of water and you can wipe some of that right down. Take your, that's gonna catch right underneath your scales right in there. That's gonna give you some nice depth to your fish. And when you gloss that is gonna make all the difference in the world when you turn that in the camera. You can see when you gloss that, it's gonna really give your fish a pop. And probably do the same thing on the back, as long as I got the extra powder here. I'll just rub a little bit in there. Just like that. Done deal. All right, then I'm happy, with the color I have in this fish right here. I've got, there's a little bit of gold popping through my yellows. I do have a little bit of basically a yellow green, so to speak, in there. I like that. That's a good base color for this perch. I'm just going to leave it like that. You got to know when to sign it, and I think I'm there. And I just might take a little bit of this purple. And right here, there's a blob of, you can see right there that I was telling you that I didn't get that out. It dried before I got all that yellow out of there. Well, we can just go over there with a little bit of powder, just like that. Put a little bit of purple. Even in on these bars a little bit, we can just add a little bit of purple in there. A little color. Don't want to overkill it. Don't want to make this perch look like a peacock, but we are going to give it some color. Just like that. And even down here in these fin rays, I think I'm going to give it a little bit of purple down there. And that worked out great. Nice. Okay, so next thing is, when you paint a fish, normally you go, clean up here a little bit. When you paint a fish, you always want to go lighter colors into your darker colors. You're gonna go, well, okay, well, you put your darks, you put pencil lines in there first, so you started with dark. But normally the rule of thumb is you want to start with your light colors and then work into from your whites, your titaniums, into your yellows, into your greens, your fins, you know, put your oranges in there, your yellows, whatever you got to do. And then now we're going to work into the top third of this fish, right above this lateral line right here. And again, a lateral line is basically this line right here. It looks like it was put together at the sewing machine, this part of nature. And every fish has this lateral line. We're just going to go right above that, like right in here. We're kind of muddy looking. Okay, we're going to put a little bit of chocolate in there. Same brush again. Just use a chocolate brown, real light. We're going to catch the top of this head. You got to have the water off, most of it off your brush, or it will not adhere to this plastic. It'll take forever to dry. And again, this is real time, uncut, unedited, so we're just going to try and do this without having a big dry time or having to grab a hair dryer to take care of business. To set the paints, we're just going to go right across the top of that back. And that gives it that nice bronzy finish and gets rid of that muddy look that was up there on the top of your fish. Just like that. Okay, and same thing on the back. I'm not going to put our fingers on what we worked with already. I'm going to do a little bit here too, same deal. I'm not going to spend all day on this. We're just going to put a little bit of chocolate color up here. Like I said, again, that chocolate serves as a primer around our eyes over that plastic compound we use to set the eyes. Okay, so we're almost there. You can tell the difference that made already. Maybe a little bit right there. You got chocolate down here, and we got a yellow spot shining through. So let's. Okay, that's going to help us out a little bit. All right, now what we're going to do is I'm just going to wipe off that excess chocolate. I'm going to grab a little bit of black here, a little bit of water, and I'm going to touch some of these fins. I'm going to put a little black on this one right here. I don't know how I got green on there, but I mixed it on my palette. All right, let's put a little black in here. Just like that. Maybe blend a little bit out on the end here. Perfect. A little bit here. A little bit of black. We're going to hit the spiny tips of these fins right up here with black. A little bit right here. We're going to hit this mandible, a little bit of black, and the front of this jaw. Just like that. And a little bit here just to get some of that white off of this pec fin. Put a little bit of black in there, why not? I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, now we're going to come across the top of this head, basically the same thing. The head and the top of the back, above this lateral line. Like I said, a little stipple technique with that black that's on the brush. I'm just going to pull that paint down. Just real light black now over your chocolate. You don't want to cover all your chocolate with black, but you just want to blend things together. Just like that. All right, and you can see that one highlighted spot right there we've been wrestling with. Well, we're just going to take a little black and just blend that right in. Maybe one more time. And that's going to take care of that for us. Just like that. And actually, I think I like that. Just have fun with it. You know, I'm like, geez, I put a little bit of black over my pencil. You know, hey, let's just run with that. Not heavy. I don't want heavy bars on this fish, but I'm just going to go over the top of that. I like how that worked out. The perfect amount of paint on my brush to do that, to pull that off. That worked out great. As I say, even a blind squirrel will find a nut. It worked out nice. So again, appreciate you hanging with us. And literally some of these videos, you watch this, it's like watching paint dry, you know. Hope it's not too dull and boring, and I hope this is of useful content to you fellow artisans out there, and this will help you out. I know just a short time we've been on YouTube doing these videos, we've got some great comments from people on how we aspire them to try some of this and get into it, and that's the name of the game. That's what we're here for. And if you want to comment suggestions of what you'd like to see, we'd really appreciate it. And we're here to help. You know, we want to pass this tradition along to folks. So basically what I did right there, just to catch you up, is I just took a little bit of black. And like I said, it's one thing to do it and then have to teach it and talk about it at the same time. It's live and uncut. So what I did right there is I just kind of blended some black across the top of that plastic on the head right there. Just like that. Now we're going to make sure that this fish doesn't end up with this black eye. We're going to fix that. But let's do we got that black deep, basically a circle around that eye. We're gonna fix that up. I'll show you how to do that real simple. But for now, we're gonna get going on this back of this fish. And I don't like that chocolate. That's basically just my primer. I like to go over my whole fish with black over all my plastic, over my fins. And you can do whatever you want. I mean, if you did this with an airbrush, it'd be way faster and it would really look a lot cleaner. But like I said, for commercial taxidermy and the purpose of this video, this is how we're gonna, so to speak, get her done.
And for learning to work with acrylics is easier.
Yeah, you don't have all the mess of airbrushing and learning airbrush and having to buy, $500 of the paint to learn to paint a bluegill, a perch, or whatever your specimen is. You can buy some of these bottles of acrylic paints for literally a couple of bucks. So you don't have a huge investment, and just have fun with it. We're doing the same thing here with this black. We're going to catch this eye. Just like that. Get rid of some of that water. We want a green eye. Okay, there we go. We're just going to blend that black right down just like that. Now this is going to take a couple of minutes to dry, this black on the back of this fish. So we're just going to set it down on a clean washcloth, and by the time we spray gloss the front of this fish, that gloss is going to dry in 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, depending on your environment. This will all be cured back here. And then you can flip your fish over after your gloss on the front side dries, and you can spray the back, and then proceed to put your hanger on it, your piece of driftwood, or whatever you prefer. But that's basically it right there. We're going to clean this up a little bit. We got our black on the jaw, black on our fins, on the back side here. Now we're just going to do this plastic seam real quick. Just blend this together. Doesn't have to be anything special. I just don't like a heavy black line. I like to transition my paints. And this is a good, painting the back of your fish like this and playing with this plastic and figuring out how your paint's going to feather. It's a really good place to start to do your practice. Before you get to the show side of your fish, you'll get your technique down, and you'll be able to figure out what sticks to what and how you can blend and how much paint, how much water you need. And it's really a recommended place to start spreading your paints on the back of your fish. Practice up in here. Put your bars in there. Put some yellows in there. Put some greens in there. It's only acrylic paint. If you don't like it, add water, wipe it off, or paint over it. It's half the fun of using acrylics. Hey everybody. Sorry for the confusion. The camera cut out. I know this was supposed to be live and unedited, but technical difficulties. What do you do? But we didn't do anything different. We'll continue from what we did here. We just blended some colors. This is dried now pretty good. So we're going to get back into, instead of this black eye right here, we're going to show you how to fix that. So what we're just going to do is we're just going to Get rid of the moisture off this brush. I'm going to take a little bit of this gold out of her tray right here. I'm just going to blot that gold around that eye. Just like that. Put a little bit over that black on the jaws, not so loud. Then across the top of the head here. Just like that. Maybe just put a little bit of gold. We're going to go against the scales, and that's going to take some of that gold off of our brush. Put some gold over that chocolate and that black on the top of the back, just like that. When you do that, you want to make sure you don't have a lot of water in your brush. You're going to start to bleed your colors. But I'm pretty happy with that. I'm going to clean this eye off here a little bit. Maybe just a touch of black right here. Just, you can see we rubbed some of the paint off with the water on the brush. Just blot that a little bit. Perfect. That one, and the same thing here. This one's looking pretty good. A little more gold over the top of that. Gold in the cheek. Gold up here. Clean my brush off. And that's that. No way paintbrush. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with the way this is turning out. Check it over here for anything else that I might want to do. I think, you know, the last little bit is I had recreated some scales down here in the belly that were lost, whether it was from you know, the fish getting abused in the cooler or skinning. You know, sometimes you can lose a scale or two, but anyways, I just want to put a little more orange down in here just to blend that putty that's down there. Just dip a little bit of orange in there. You don't want too much. You don't want it eye-catching where you're basically covering your mistake, but I do want to cover that up a little bit. Blend that right into the anal area. Just like that. That works out pretty good. And then maybe just a touch of white right here. I added too much water on my brush and started to peel my paint off because it wasn't completely dry. Just like that. I like that. Said you don't want to make it too orange where your eye is only going to catch that. But just start blending things together. I think that's pretty good right there. You can see how that came out really nice. See that in the light? Yeah, that's great. That's exactly what I wanted. So we did the blacks. I got the black that I wanted in there, the chocolate colors. I'm happy with my coloration on the side. I got some yellows, a little bit of gold over the top of it. I think we're pretty good. I'm just going to quickly clean this brush off, and I'll just give it I want this paint to cure out for a few seconds here before I go and put the high gloss on it. I don't want to gloss a wet fish. You want to make sure your acrylics are dry. So I'm just going to give it a couple minutes. And when we do that, let's just go back through our color palette here, basically what we had for paint. In the middle here, we had an apple yellow that went in the fins. We had basically just a high black. Again, all acrylic paints. We had this powder violet that we used in the cheek. Chocolate that we ran across the top of the back, and a little bit of blending in the fins. We had a gold that we put down through the side that we mixed with our yellow, and then we golded up around the eye here so we don't have a black eye on our fish. We had some orange in the fins, and basically that yellow, and we had two different whites. We just have a titanium white and an iridescent white. And the iridescent is the one that we put on second, we applied second, and that really gave us that. You can really see that pearl color on that fish, and you can really see the pearls start to come out of this fish when you rub that purple against the scales. That worked out really nice. And the last color that we had was basically a lacquer Arctic orange, and we put that in the fins before we put our silicone in there. And the silicone is 100% silicone. You can get it at any hardware store. Just buy a tube of it, $10, $15. I've never found out one brand is any better than the other. As long as it's 100% silicone and you let it cure completely before you paint it. You can run, it's not going to chip your paint. It's not going to bleed your paints. you can use your different mediums. You can use lacquer paints and your water-based acrylic paints. You know, you can put that water-based right over the top of it, and it's not going to chip, and it's not going to bleed your colors together. So we're pretty good. So hang tight. Again, we're going to give this a quick shot in a ventilated area out here, and we'll be back with you in just a few seconds.
So he's going out to gloss it right now. You can watch How to Taxidermy a Bluegill Part 7 to place a hanger, or watch our video of how to anchor fish to wood mounts if you prefer that method instead. This fish will be for sale on 10,000 Lakes Taxidermy on eBay in a little bit. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and here is going to be the finished project, all glossed. I hope you enjoyed our video. Please share and like so that we can continue to bring this kind of content to you, and hopefully see you soon.